When no one else responded, Earth's Deathworlders appeared the galaxy was quiet. Too quiet. Across the vast stretch of stars, distress signals had gone out from the colony on Zephyr Prime, one of the outermost human-settled planets. It was supposed to be a thriving hub of research and exploration, a place where scientists studied alien ecosystems, exotic minerals, and technologies unknown to Earth. But now, the signals were silent. The Interstellar Council, a coalition of dozens of intelligent species, had grown restless. Representatives of the Zitrax hegemony, the Vorlian Collective, and the Tethra Syndicate gathered in their chambers aboard the massive station Celestial conquered. Holographic screens flickered with incoming reports, all pointing to the same unsettling truth. No one knew what had happened to the colony. "It's unusual," said Counselor Matrix of the Zitrax hegemony, his voice a metallic hum. "Our sensors detect no activity. No communications, nothing, a whole colony vanished." "Perhaps it was an internal collapse," suggested Representative Thalen, a Vorlian with translucent skin and glowing veins. "Colonies fail, it happens." But the humans listening through the observation decks weren't convinced. Humans had spent centuries learning that failure was not an option, not when survival depended on it. Humans thrived where others feared to step. Their homeworld, Earth, had been a crucible of fire, ice, and storms, and its people had endured every harsh trial nature could throw. Captain Alara Voss of the human exploratory ship Odyssey leaned forward, her hands gripping the edge of the console. Her sharp eyes scanned the star maps, the colonies, last known positions, and the faint echoes of the distress signals. Every instinct in her body screamed that they had to act. "No one else is responding," Voss said quietly to her first officer, Commander Ryan Holt. "The Council talks and debates, they wait, but we don't wait, not humans, we go." Holt nodded. He was a tall man, broad-shouldered, with a calm demeanor that balanced Voss's intensity. "Zephyr Prime isn't like the other colonies," he said. "It's a death world. Toxic storms, massive predators, radiation, most species couldn't survive there for even a week. But humans," he paused, a hint of a smile crossing his face. "Humans thrive where others fail." The Council murmured at the humans' determination. Many species in the galaxy feared death worlds. Their environments were extreme, almost impossible to survive. Planets with acid rains, magnetic storms, predatory megafauna, or toxic atmospheres were considered uninhabitable. They were called death worlds for a reason. Most species avoided them at all costs, but humans were different. They had adapted to Earth's extremes, then to orbital colonies, then to distant planets with hostile climates. They had been called fragile, weak, and unpredictable by other species, yet every challenge had revealed a stubbornness, a refusal to yield that others could not comprehend. Voss turned back to the crew assembled in the Odyssey's command deck. The ship hummed with life, lights flickering over consoles and holographic panels. Sensors scanned the stars ahead, mapping the safest routes, the storm patterns, the gravitational anomalies surrounding Zephyr Prime. "Prepare the landing pods," she ordered. "We're going in." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. Humans had trained for situations no one else would dare face. They had practiced survival drills in Earth's most extreme environments: radioactive wastelands, deep ocean trenches, Arctic tundras, and volcanic fields. Now all that training would be tested on a planet that defied life itself. Outside the Odyssey, Zephyr Prime loomed like a dark jewel. Its atmosphere swirled with green clouds of acidic rain, and lightning split the sky with violent force. Massive creatures moved below the clouds, their forms hinted at by the flickers of bioluminescent skin visible even through the storms. The planet was alive, dangerous, and almost sentient in its hostility. Inside the ship, the humans didn't flinch. They had faced danger before, and they knew fear was a tool, not a prison. They suited up in protective exosuits, reinforced against radiation, corrosive storms, and sharp terrain. Every piece of equipment was checked, double-checked, and calibrated. "Remember," Voss said to the crew, her voice steady, commanding, and filled with the kind of resolve that could ignite courage in others. "We don't just survive. We adapt, we fight, we win. Humans always find a way. No one else is going to answer this call. That's why we will. That's who we are." As the landing pods detached, streaking toward the storm-racked surface, a wave of tension swept through the crew. They were about to set foot on a planet that no other species dared enter. But alongside the tension was a spark, the unmistakable thrill of challenge, the raw excitement of survival against impossible odds. Below, Zephyr Prime's terrain was a nightmare. Acidic rivers cut through jagged rock formations, massive tornadoes ripped across plains, and forests of sharp, spiny flora reached toward the sky. The humans' landing pods dipped and twisted through the violent storms, their thrusters straining against the atmosphere. Every second, a new danger threatened to crush, burn, or tear them apart. Yet, step by step, pod by pod, the humans descended. They were silent in the way of people who understood that panic would kill faster than the storm ever could. Voss's mind raced through possible contingencies. Every human instinct, from hunting skills to problem-solving to improvisation, was ready. As the pods touched down, the ground itself seemed to groan beneath them. The acid rain hissed as it met the hull, clouds of steam rising from the impact. Massive shadows shifted in the storm, the movement of predators or perhaps something far more intelligent. Holt was the first to step out, scanning the environment with sensors and cameras. "Survival probability," he muttered, "extremely low if you believe the numbers, but humans don't care about numbers." Voss smiled. "Exactly." The humans spread out, forming a perimeter. They moved cautiously, yet with determination. Every step was measured, but their movements were deliberate, confident, unafraid. They adapted to the environment quickly, using the terrain as cover and advantage. Trees with metallic thorns were knocked down to form barriers. Pools of acidic water were carefully avoided or neutralized with portable devices. Predatory creatures were studied, then avoided or used as bait for traps. They found evidence of the colony, scorched equipment, broken shelters, and strange, twisted marks in the soil. Something had attacked, something had tried to wipe the humans out, yet here they were, stepping onto a world that had killed many unafraid, unbroken. Voss knelt to examine the marks. "This isn't random," she said. "Someone or something wanted to make sure no one survived." But humans survive. That's what we do. The storm intensified, a massive lightning strike splitting a nearby cliff, sending rocks tumbling toward the crew. They moved instinctively, taking cover, securing equipment, yet pressing forward. Every hazard became a test, every danger a challenge. The humans thrived where others would have died. Far above, unseen by the humans, alien observers watched. The Zitrax hegemony's surveillance drones, long thought to be the most advanced in the sector, recorded everything. They had predicted panic, confusion, and retreat, but what they saw instead was awe-inspiring. Humans moved as if the planet itself had no power over them. The aliens whispered to each other in disbelief. They actually survive," said one Zitrax. "They adapt, they fight." Back on the ground, the humans reached the edge of the first ruined colony dome. Acid had corroded its outer walls, and strange, unrecognizable symbols were etched into the metal. The humans paused, scanning, analyzing, learning. Every detail mattered. Every clue could be the difference between life and death. Voss's voice cut through the storm. "Keep moving, check the perimeter. Survivors could be inside, and if they're not, we'll make sure no one else falls here unprepared." They entered the dome, stepping over twisted metal and broken glass. The smell of burned electronics and scorched earth filled their suits. Inside, the air was stale, almost breathable thanks to emergency filters. Empty rooms told stories of panic, fear, and desperation. Yet humanity did not falter. They were searching, they were helping, they were conquering the unknown. Outside, the storm raged, lightning flashed, acid hissed, predators prowled, but humans moved with purpose. They were Earth's Deathworlders, unshakable, fearless, and alive. The galaxy had long underestimated them. But here, on a world that no other species would dare set foot on, humans were proving a simple truth. Survival was not just about luck. It was about will, adaptability, courage, and the indomitable spirit of humanity. And as the humans pressed deeper into the heart of the ruined colony, the first faint signs of movement caught Voss's eye. Something alive, something waiting, something that would test every human instinct to its limit. But humans had one advantage no one else had. They never gave up. They never ran. They never waited for someone else to respond. When no one else responded, humans did. The storm over Zephyr Prime had no mercy. Acid rain sliced through the air, winds tore at the landing pods, and jagged lightning bolts split the sky like glowing knives. Yet humans pressed on. Captain Alara Voss led the team through the chaos, her voice steady over comms. "Stay close, stay aware." Nothing here is normal, but nothing will stop us, she said. The first step onto the planet's surface was enough to show why most species refused to land here. The ground hissed with corrosive chemicals, releasing fumes that could burn lungs and corrode unprotected skin. Giant spiny plants swayed violently, their sharp tendrils reaching out like grasping fingers. Enormous creatures with glowing eyes and jaws full of jagged teeth prowled through the swirling green mists. This was a death world in every sense, but humans were not like the others. Where other species saw impossible danger, humans saw a challenge, a problem to solve, a threat to adapt to, a world to conquer. Deploy environmental shields, Voss commanded. Small devices hissed to life, forming temporary energy barriers around the team. The shields reduced the acidic rain, allowed cleaner air for breathing, and even dampened the lightning to some degree. "Looks like Zephyr Prime doesn't like visitors," remarked Commander Ryan Holt, scanning the area with his sensors. "But humans don't need a welcome party." They moved forward in a tight formation. Every footstep was calculated. Humans scanned constantly, mapping the terrain, marking hazards, and noting patterns. They observed the movement of predators, studied the toxic flora, and calculated safe paths. Adaptation was second nature to them. The first danger came quickly. A massive shadow moved overhead, and the ground trembled. A creature the size of a small building appeared, its body armored with jagged plates and covered in acidic slime. Its mandibles snapped as it roared, echoing across the stormed plains. Many species would have fled, panic in their eyes. Humans, they observed, planned, and reacted. Voss signaled her team. Lieutenant Mara Quinn activated a series of noise devices that emitted frequencies designed to confuse the predator. Holt calculated the creature's trajectory and threw explosive traps designed to corral it. The predator charged blindly, its focus broken by the human's improvisation, and it crashed into the traps, immobilized. "Another day, another Deathworld creature," Holt said with a grin. "Easy for humans, others, they'd be history." The humans pressed on, reaching the edges of the ruined colony dome. Acid had corroded metal and glass alike, and strange scorch marks covered the walls. Something violent had attacked. Broken equipment lay strewn across the ground. Voss motioned for quiet. "Let's check inside," she said. Inside, the dome was silent except for the hiss of damaged ventilation systems. Broken machinery and scattered tools told a story of panic and desperation. Humans moved carefully, their instincts sharp. Every corner could hide danger, every shadow could conceal a predator or something worse. Then they found them, the survivors. Huddled in a reinforced biodome, the scientists were pale, weak, and terrified. Many species would have given up, waiting for rescue that might never come, but humans were different. They didn't just rescue, they acted immediately and decisively. "Step back," Voss said, motioning to her crew. "We'll get them out, but we do it safely." The survivors stared at the humans, disbelief in their eyes. You're humans," one of them whispered. We thought no one would come." "We came," Voss said simply. "That's what humans do. When no one else responds, we respond." It wasn't just words, it was action. The humans secured the biodome, repaired emergency systems, and ensured the survivors could breathe without suits. They rationed supplies, checked for injuries, and established communication links. Even in a place meant to kill, humans could make life thrive. But the planet wasn't done with them. The ground shook again, and this time, something more intelligent than the predators moved in the shadows. Large, insect-like creatures with compound eyes and armored shells emerged from the mists. They weren't hunting randomly. They were coordinating, they were aware. Holt observed them through a scanner. "They're organized, they're studying us," Voss nodded. "Then let's give them a lesson." Humans adapted their environment into weapons. Spiny trees were uprooted to form barricades. Acidic pools were redirected into channels to create traps. Predatory creatures, tamed temporarily with bait and traps, became allies against the intruders. Every challenge the planet threw at them became an advantage if humans applied their minds. The alien observers far above in orbit watched in disbelief. The Zitrax hegemony had never seen a species move like this. Other species would have been terrified, paralyzed, or annihilated. Humans, they thrived. They fought using tools, environment, instincts, and ingenuity. They turned Zephyr Prime from a death world into a battlefield where they had the upper hand. "They adapt," one Zitrax observer whispered. "They fight, even here. How is this possible?" Back on the ground, the humans had reached a second dome, larger than the first, partially buried under rock slides. They could see signs of conflict, scorch marks, clawed walls, and strange alien symbols. It was clear that some powerful force had attacked the colony. Voss studied the symbols, recognizing patterns, trying to understand the attackers' methods. "We're not just fighting the planet," she said. "We're fighting someone else, and humans fight better than anyone else." Mara Quinn deployed drones to scout the area. The drones flew through the storm, sending back images of strange alien vehicles and weapons scattered around. The humans' path was clear but dangerous. Every step could trigger a trap, every movement could be observed. But humans had a gift other species didn't: unpredictability. They moved carefully but confidently, navigating through jagged rocks, over acidic rivers, and around massive predators. When a group of predatory beasts attacked, humans didn't run. They coordinated. Using improvised weapons, quick reflexes, and sheer courage, they fought them off. Some humans even used the predators against each other, turning one threat into a solution for another. Hours passed. Humans pushed further into the heart of the colony ruins. They discovered storage rooms filled with damaged research, laboratories that had been ransacked, and data cores that flickered weakly. Holt immediately began salvaging what he could, downloading information onto portable devices. Every piece of knowledge mattered. Every scrap could reveal what had attacked the colony. As night fell on Zephyr Prime, the storm intensified. Lightning struck endlessly, thunder shaking the ground, and the air became almost impossible to breathe. Most species would have retreated. Humans stayed. They reinforced their temporary base, tended to the survivors, and prepared for the next wave of threats. Voss looked out at the storm, her eyes sharp. "They think the planet can stop us. They think fear can stop us. But humans don't stop. We adapt. We survive. And tonight, we prepare to fight back." Holt joined her, scanning the horizon with his sensors. "Captain, there's something moving in the mist, bigger than anything we've seen, organized, intelligent." Voss clenched her fists. "Then it's time. Humans don't hide. We don't flee. We face what others fear." Deep in the storm, the first faint glow of alien eyes reflected off the acid rain. Shadows moved with calculated precision. The humans were no longer just explorers. They were warriors on a planet designed to kill them. And for the first time, Zephyr Prime's predators paused, sensing a force unlike any they had encountered. Humans were here. Humans survived. And no storm, no predator, no alien force would stop them, because that was what humans did. They thrived when others fell. They adapted when others froze. And they fought when others ran. The galaxy had underestimated them once again. But on Zephyr Prime, the Deathworlders of Earth were proving why no other species could match their courage, ingenuity, and relentless spirit. And the real danger was still ahead. The humans had survived the storm, the predators, and the poisonous terrain of Zephyr Prime, but something far more dangerous was waiting. High above the planet, hidden in the blackness of orbit, alien eyes followed every move. The Zitrax hegemony had been observing the planet for decades, and they had never seen a species like this. They called themselves Deathworlders, and the humans were the first species to thrive where all others failed. The Zitrax drones scanned the humans' movements in disbelief. Other species would have perished within hours, some within minutes. Yet the humans not only survived, they adapted, fought, and even controlled the environment around them. "They are impossible," muttered one Zitrax analyst, its mandibles clicking nervously. "No species has ever endured this planet's hazards without catastrophic loss. How do they do it?" "They think differently," replied another, its segmented body quivering. "They do not fear death. They embrace danger. They survive." Back on the ground, Captain Alara Voss and her team had set up a temporary base within a partially destroyed research dome. The survivors from the original colony huddled inside, exhausted and terrified, but alive. Humans moved among them, repairing systems, purifying water, and providing medical care. It was a delicate balance. The humans had to protect the survivors from both the planet and its predators, while also preparing for the real threat: intelligent alien attackers that were clearly stalking them. "Check the perimeter," Voss ordered. Her voice carried authority, calm and confident. "We don't know how many are watching or what they plan, but we will be ready." The humans deployed sensors and motion scanners. The readings were unusual, not random movement, but patterns. Someone or something was studying them. That meant intelligence, coordination, strategy, something far more dangerous than any predator could be. Lieutenant Mara Quinn crouched by a scanner console. "Captain, these signals aren't local wildlife," she said. "They're organized." "Someone's observing us, learning us." Voss nodded, eyes narrowing. "Good, let them watch, let them learn. The faster they adapt to humans, the faster they'll fail." Humans had a skill no other species possessed: unpredictability. They could improvise, adapt, and think outside the rules. On Zephyr Prime, that meant using every danger as an advantage. Poisonous rivers became traps. Acidic clouds shielded movement. Predatory beasts were lured into ambushes. The humans moved with a combination of skill, courage, and instinct that the Zitrax could not predict. Hours passed. The humans explored further into the colony ruins, discovering storage rooms filled with broken equipment, laboratories with scorched data terminals, and corridors blocked by fallen debris. Every new obstacle became an opportunity for humans to improvise. They moved heavy beams with pulleys, neutralized toxic gases with chemical filters, and created temporary bridges across ravines filled with corrosive acid. Suddenly, Mara Quinn's scanner beeped loudly. "Movement," she called. The humans immediately dropped into defensive positions. Through the storm and mist, shapes emerged, alien sentinels, small and fast, crawling over the ruins with coordinated precision. Their bodies were armored, their limbs long and spindly, designed for hunting and surveillance. It was clear now, they were not just observing, they were testing. "Hold fire," Voss ordered. "Let them come a little closer." The sentinels hesitated at the perimeter of the dome, studying the humans, analyzing their behavior. They moved as if calculating the humans' weaknesses. Yet every time they approached, humans adapted. Barricades were repositioned, traps were laid. Even the storms themselves were used. Lightning was drawn toward certain areas to create natural hazards for the aliens. "They're learning fast," Holt observed, scanning the creatures. "But humans learn faster." Voss moved along the line of her team, eyes sharp. "That's right, every species has a limit. Humans exceed theirs." The first engagement was sudden. One sentinel leapt toward the dome's entrance. Humans reacted instinctively. Mara Quinn activated a pulse device that sent a wave of energy, disorienting the alien. Holt fired an improvised net launcher, trapping the creature midair. The rest of the sentinels retreated, recalculating. "They're intelligent," Quinn said. "Not just hunters, strategists." "And we are humans," Voss replied. "We are unstoppable when cornered. Let's make them learn the hard way." The humans began setting traps across the surrounding terrain. Sharp spines from Zephyr Prime's forests were used as stakes. Pools of corrosive water were redirected into channels that would funnel unsuspecting aliens into danger. Predatory beasts tamed with bait were positioned to ambush any intruders. Every action was deliberate. Every step was calculated yet flexible. Night fell. The storm intensified, but humans did not rest. They reinforced their temporary base, tended to the survivors, and shared knowledge. Humans were social creatures, able to communicate, plan, and coordinate in ways the alien observers could not fully predict. Above, the Zitrax drones recorded everything. One observer clicked its mandibles in frustration. "They use the environment. They turn danger into advantage. They anticipate, improvise, and thrive. How is this possible?" "They are humans," another replied. "That explains everything." As the humans rested, Voss studied the damaged data cores from the colony. She found fragments of recordings, strange symbols, and partial logs. Something had attacked the colony, and humans needed answers. Holt worked alongside her, piecing together data while Mara Quinn monitored the perimeter. "Captain," Holt said, eyes scanning the readouts, "these recordings, they show raiders, not from this planet. Advanced tech. They were systematic. They wanted the colony wiped out." Voss clenched her fists. "And they didn't expect humans to come. That's their first mistake. They don't understand us." The humans spent the next hours preparing for a counterattack. Unlike other species, they didn't just wait for danger to come to them. They planned, improvised, and struck first when necessary. They used the environment to their advantage, lured predators as weapons, and turned every hazard into a tool. Mara Quinn activated a drone to survey the area beyond the dome. Through the swirling storms, the drone spotted something terrifying: a massive force moving toward the humans' location. Larger than the sentinels, heavily armored, and armed with weapons that fired beams capable of piercing steel. The humans' next challenge was coming, but they were ready. Captain, Quinn said, transmitting the visuals. They're organized, they're powerful, but humans have something they don't. What's that? Voss asked. Will, courage, instinct, adaptability. Humans don't just fight, they survive, and they improvise, and they never give up. Voss smiled grimly. Then let's make sure they learn that lesson fast. Humans spent the night setting ambush points, preparing traps, and teaching the colony survivors basic survival techniques. Every individual, no matter how weak or injured, contributed. Humans believed that every life was valuable and that teamwork could overcome the deadliest obstacles. By dawn, the first wave of the alien force approached. The humans were ready. They had studied the predators, mapped the terrain, and transformed Zephyr Prime itself into a weapon. Every acid river, every spiny tree, every poisonous cloud became part of their defense. When the aliens attacked, they were met with precision, ingenuity, and unpredictability. Humans adapted to every tactic, countered every move, and used the planet itself to their advantage. The Sentinels, once confident and calculating, were forced to retreat, learning the hard way that humans were unlike any species they had faced. The Zitrax observers were astounded. They are evolution in motion, one muttered. They survive where nothing else can, they fight where others would die, they adapt and they endure. Voss watched the battlefield, her eyes sharp. Humans don't just survive, she said quietly. We conquer, we adapt, and when the galaxy abandons us, we become unstoppable. The battle was far from over, but the humans had proven one undeniable truth. No force, no predator, no alien strategist could predict or fully control them. On Zephyr Prime, humans were not just survivors. They were warriors. They were Deathworlders, and the galaxy would remember them. The sun of Zephyr Prime barely pierced the thick green clouds. Acid rain still hissed across the jagged terrain, and the wind howled like a living predator. The humans had survived storms, predatory beasts, and alien sentinels, but now the true threat had arrived, a massive raiding force. They moved with precision, armored vehicles cutting through the toxic landscape, alien soldiers in coordinated formations, and energy weapons capable of piercing steel. Captain Alara Voss stood atop a ridge, her eyes scanning the horizon. She could see the force approaching in the distance. This is it, she said, her voice calm but filled with determination. They think they can wipe us out, they think this is their world, but they don't know humans. Sir, Commander Ryan Holt said, pointing to a valley below, they're using the terrain to funnel us. They've learned from the Sentinels. They know we adapt, but humans fight differently than anything they've seen. Voss nodded. Then let's show them. Prepare the traps, coordinate the predators, and get the survivors ready. This planet is our weapon, and we are its wielder. Humans moved quickly and efficiently. Every resource was used, every instinct tested. Spiny forests were repositioned to create barricades. Acidic rivers were diverted into channels that would trap vehicles. Predatory creatures, previously tamed and guided by humans, were stationed along ambush points. Even the storms were manipulated, guiding lightning towards specific areas to disrupt enemy formations. Remember, Voss said, addressing her team and the survivors, they are strong, but humans are smarter, faster, and braver. We survive when others die, we adapt when others fail, and we strike when no one else dares. The first wave of aliens moved cautiously into the trap-filled valley. As they advanced, human soldiers sprang into action. Mara Quinn detonated a series of timed explosives, sending boulders crashing into alien vehicles. Holt guided creatures to ambush squads, leaping from trees and cliffs with jaws snapping. Humans moved with precision, using the environment, intuition, and improvisation to overwhelm the attackers. Above the battlefield, the Zitrax observers were stunned. They turn every hazard into a weapon, one clicked its mandibles in disbelief. They use the planet itself, how is this possible? They are humans, another replied. They do not fight like any species we know. They adapt, they survive, they conquer. The aliens regrouped and attempted a direct assault on the humans' base. Energy beams cut through the acid rain, striking the reinforced dome, but humans were ready. Shields absorbed the worst of the blasts, and countermeasures like deflective mirrors and acid traps redirected attacks back toward the enemy. Voss led a squad of elite fighters in a daring flank maneuver. Using rocky outcrops and swirling storms as cover, they struck the alien command unit. Energy weapons flared, explosions erupted, and the aliens faltered. Humans did not panic. They adjusted, improvised, and pressed forward. Even the survivors contributed. Scientists who had cowered in fear were now operating drones, launching improvised defenses, and relaying critical tactical information. Humans believed that everyone had a role, and even the weakest or most terrified could become a force when guided and protected. Hours passed. The battle was intense, chaotic, and deadly, yet humans endured. Every tactic the aliens tried was countered with ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. Humans used unpredictable attacks, turning the environment itself into a weapon. Acid rivers flooded paths, spiny forests fell on advancing units, and predators struck from the shadows. Holt activated a high-voltage trap across a narrow canyon. As alien vehicles attempted to cross, lightning struck the conductive field, disabling their engines and leaving them vulnerable. Humans surged forward, capturing or neutralizing the immobilized units. The aliens tried to retreat, but the humans had anticipated it. Myra Quinn signaled drones to block escape routes, and ambush points further down funneled the enemy into deadly zones. One by one, alien squads were cut off, disoriented, or defeated. Voss moved among her soldiers, coordinating attacks with calm precision. Hold formation. Adapt to every change. Use the environment. Strike when opportunity comes. It wasn't just strength or weapons that won the day. It was creativity, courage, and relentless determination. The aliens had technology, numbers, and planning. Humans had adaptability, unpredictability, and an unyielding will to survive. By evening, the alien force was in full retreat. Their vehicles damaged, their troops disoriented, and their morale shattered. Humans had transformed Zephyr Prime from a death world into a battlefield they controlled. Every hazard that could have killed them had been turned against their enemies. Voss watched from the ridge as the aliens withdrew into the storm. She felt pride in her team, but she knew the fight was not over. This was just the first wave, she said. They will come back, but they will never forget today. They will never forget humans. The Zitrax observers, still hovering above, were silent. They had seen countless species, analyzed thousands of strategies, yet humans had defied every expectation. No species had ever used a death world as a weapon so effectively. They are extraordinary, one observer whispered. Impossible to predict, impossible to control. They survive when nothing else can. Back at the human base, Voss gathered her team and the survivors. They repaired defenses, treated injuries, and salvaged resources. Humans did not rest lightly. Even in victory, they remained vigilant. They knew the aliens would return, stronger and smarter. But humans had something the Zitrax could not understand: courage, creativity, and the instinct to survive against impossible odds. Holt approached Voss, scanning the horizon. Captain, the aliens are retreating, but we've proven a point. Humans are not prey here. We are predators, and we adapt faster than anything they've seen. Voss nodded. Exactly. They learned today that humans do not just survive. We endure. We adapt. And when the galaxy abandons us, we strike back. We are Deathworlders. We thrive where others perish. The storm raged on, but humans moved through it with confidence. They fortified their temporary base further, mapped the surrounding terrain, and established long-range observation points. Every corner of the Deathworld became an advantage in their hands. That night, as the survivors rested, humans took shifts watching the horizon. Even in rest, they remained alert. They were warriors and survivors, ready for whatever the next attack would bring. They had turned Zephyr Prime into a proving ground, demonstrating the unique strength of humanity. And somewhere above the clouds, the Zitrax observed and recorded, unable to fully comprehend the species they had underestimated. Humans were unpredictable, relentless, and unstoppable. No force on this planet could break their spirit. Voss looked out across the battlefield, her face lit by the faint green glow of the storms. Tomorrow, she said softly to Holt, we push further. We take the fight to them if they return. We show the galaxy that humans do not wait for rescue. Humans do not run, humans fight. And when no one else responds, we respond. Always. Holt smiled, knowing the truth of her words. Humans don't just survive, we thrive, we conquer, we endure. No one can predict us. No one can stop us. And deep in the stormed plains of Zephyr Prime, the humans prepared for the coming day. Not as victims of a death world, but as warriors of Earth, the Deathworlders who would turn danger into victory, chaos into opportunity, and the impossible into survival. Because that was what humans did, Dawn on Zephyr Prime broke through the storm with an eerie green light. The air was thick with acid mist, and jagged lightning still danced across the skies. But humans were ready. Captain Alara Voss surveyed the battlefield from a ridge, her eyes sharp and unwavering. The alien raiding force that had retreated the previous day would return. They were intelligent, coordinated, and deadly, but humans had a secret no other species could match. They were unpredictable, resourceful, and fearless. "Team," Voss said, her voice carrying across the ridge, "today we finish what we started. They came to destroy. They thought the Deathworld would kill us. They thought they could stop humans. They were wrong. Let's show them exactly who we are." Commander Ryan Holt nodded, scanning the valley below. "They're regrouping, Captain, larger this time, reinforced vehicles, heavier troops." But humans always adapt. We turn danger into advantage. Mara Quinn checked the drones and sensors. "The storms are stronger now, but we can use them. Lightning, acid clouds, predator movement, all can be weapons. We've turned the planet into our battlefield before. We can do it again." Voss clenched her fists, her resolve unshakable. "Then we fight, not for survival, for dominance. Humans don't wait for rescue. Humans don't run. Humans conquer." The aliens advanced, confident in their numbers and technology. Energy beams cut across the green mist, striking rocks and trees. Their armored vehicles crushed terrain beneath them, and their soldiers moved in precise formations. Yet humans were ready. From hidden ambush points, humans fired improvised weapons, guided by Mara's drones. Acidic rivers had been redirected to create barriers, and explosive traps had been carefully positioned to take out clusters of enemy troops. Predators, guided with precision, leapt from cliffs and forests, striking the alien ranks with jaws and claws. The aliens faltered. Their formations broke as humans attacked from unexpected angles. Lightning, guided by human strategy, struck vehicles and soldiers alike. Every step the aliens took was countered with ingenuity, courage, and adaptability. Holt grinned. They thought they were the hunters. But humans are the predators here. Voss led a squad in a daring flanking maneuver. Using the twisted, spiny trees as cover and the storm as a shield, they struck the alien command center. Energy weapons flared, explosions erupted, and chaos spread among the enemy ranks. Yet humans remained calm, coordinated, and relentless. Inside the base, the survivors operated drones, activated traps, and relayed information. Humans believed in teamwork, in using every available mind and skill to fight. Even those who had been terrified moments ago now played a critical role. Fear was transformed into action, panic into strategy. Hours passed, and the aliens tried to regroup. Their technology was superior, their numbers larger, but humans had something they could never predict: creativity, adaptability, and the refusal to surrender. Every obstacle became an advantage, every threat a weapon. Voss watched from a ridge as a massive alien vehicle moved into position. "Holt, ready the energy redirection." Holt activated the device, pulling the storm's lightning toward the armored vehicle. The sky split with a blinding flash as the bolt struck the machine, short-circuiting its systems. Humans surged forward, neutralizing the disabled units. The aliens' confidence shattered. They had underestimated the Deathworlders of Earth. Above, Zitrak's observers recorded everything. "They are evolution in motion," one clicked. "Every species we've studied would have been destroyed by now, yet they adapt, improvise, and overcome. How is this possible?" "They are humans," another replied. "They survive because nothing can break them. They endure because they refuse to yield. They fight because that is who they are." The battle continued through the day. Humans used every resource: terrain, predators, storms, traps, and raw courage. Every alien tactic was met with a human counter, often one the aliens had not predicted. Energy weapons were neutralized with mirrors, ambushes used the storms as cover, and predators disrupted enemy formations. Finally, the alien command units began to retreat. Their numbers were decimated, their formations broken, and their morale shattered. Humans had turned a Deathworld into a battlefield they controlled completely. Voss surveyed the aftermath. The humans had won not just by strength, but by ingenuity, courage, and relentless determination. Every soldier, every survivor, every human involved had proven a simple truth: nothing could break them. Not storms, not predators, not alien forces. "We did it," Holt said, breathing heavily but smiling. "Zephyr Prime, they will never forget this." "No," Voss agreed, And the galaxy will know humanity doesn't wait for help. We do not rely on others. When no one responds, humans respond, always. The humans gathered the survivors and prepared to send a message. Using the salvaged communication equipment, Voss transmitted across the galaxy. Not a plea, not a warning, a statement. Earth's Deathworlders have arrived. When no one else responded, we did, always. Let this be a lesson. Humans survive. Humans adapt. Humans endure. And humanity does not wait for rescue. We act. The message spread quickly, reaching every major interstellar council, every colony, and every observer across the galaxy. Alien species watched in awe and fear. Humans had proven that they could thrive where others would perish, that they could fight against impossible odds, and that their courage and ingenuity were unmatched. Back on the ground, the survivors thanked the humans, still trembling but alive. Voss addressed them. You survive because humans never leave anyone behind. We adapt, we endure, and we fight. Today you saw that. Tomorrow the galaxy will remember it. Holt turned to Voss. Captain, the Zitrax observers, they must be analyzing this now. They will spread the word. Humanity will be known, feared, respected. Voss nodded. Good, let them know. Let every species understand that humans are not weak, not fragile, not predictable. Humans are unstoppable when cornered, fearless when threatened, and relentless when challenged. The humans began repairs on the colony, fortifying it against future threats. They restored life support, cleaned the toxic environment around the shelters, and made sure the survivors could rebuild. Even a death world, a planet that had killed countless species, became a place where humans thrived. That evening, as the storm abated and the acid rain turned to a light drizzle, humans gathered on the ridge overlooking the valley. Lightning still streaked across the sky, but it no longer threatened them. It illuminated their victory. Voss spoke quietly but with certainty. This planet, this challenge, was meant to break anyone else. It was meant to test the strongest species. But humans do not break. We endure, we conquer, we adapt. And when the galaxy abandons us, we rise, we fight, we survive, always. Holt smiled. The galaxy will remember us. The Zitrax, the Vorlians, everyone, they will know the humans of Earth are not to be underestimated. Voss looked at the horizon, the ruins of the colony below, and the survivors she had saved. This is just the beginning, she said. We survived Zephyr Prime, but humanity will face greater challenges. And we will endure every one of them. Not because we are invincible, but because we refuse to surrender. Because we are humans, and that is enough. Above the clouds, the Zitrax observers finally departed, recording the events for their people. Across the galaxy, whispers spread of the humans who had turned a Deathworld into a battlefield, who had survived storms, predators, and advanced alien forces, and who had sent a message no species could ignore. When no one else responded, we did. Humans survive. Humans endure. Humans adapt, and humanity does not wait. We act. On Zephyr Prime, the Deathworlders of Earth had proven what no one else could, that humans were unstoppable when pushed to the edge, fearless when facing annihilation, and legendary when standing where no one else dared. The storm cleared slightly, revealing jagged mountains and greenish plains scarred by battle. But humans were alive, victorious, and preparing for whatever the galaxy would throw at them next. They were Deathworlders, conquerors of impossible worlds, and survivors against every impossible odds. And the galaxy would remember that day, the day Earth's humans proved that when no one else responded, they always would.